All right. What's going on, everybody? It's Neil, just coming to you on a Tuesday afternoon. Just chilling with my last cup of coffee for the day. I used to drink it all the time, but now just every once in a while, up to like 2. Then I try to like cut it off, or else I can't sleep. So yeah, how's everybody doing out there, man? Guitar land. That was a little jam, and I want to talk to you a bit about what I was doing over that. That might be different than what you do. Maybe it's not. It's what works for me as far as selecting scales and, you know, approaching jamming melodically over everything. And I use a lot of pentatonics, and yeah. So I want to talk about that. But before I do that, I went on a deep dive this weekend on Jeff Beck. I mean, I knew he was awesome, and I like some of the stuff he does. Like, I'm not a big rockabilly fan, so some of the rock stuff I was like, okay. But what I do love is when he gets like symphonic with the guitar. And what I mean by that is like when he starts using the whammy bar and the volume and like using his fingers, which he does all the time, I guess. But there's a couple tunes, like Bulgaria is one of them, and like Where Were You? Those two are amazing. I watched Where Were You live like 10 times in a row. It's just the most beautiful thing I've ever heard on the guitar. And the reason I say it's symphonic is because it turns the guitar, instead of like a rock and roll instrument or pop, whatever, it could really fit like in any sort of orchestral context. It's crazy, like the way he gets so much emotion out of it and dynamics and stuff, which is pretty crazy, you know. So if you haven't checked that out, Where Were You? Jeff Beck live. I think at Richard Scott's or something like that. It's a jazz club. It's live. It's awesome, amazing. So yeah, so what I want to talk to you about today, I was thinking about it, is pentatonics, right? It's a big passion of mine. And I talk about it a lot because I feel like maybe people don't get as much out of pentatonics as they could, or they kind of blow past it on, you know, the journey from open chords and bar chords, pentatonics, and they go into like the modes and like harmonic minor and melodic minor and just sweep picking and all sorts of stuff. And they just say, oh, I know the first shape of the pentatonics, and that's all I need to know, right? That's all there is to it. But there really isn't, man. So those chords I was jamming on, it was G to E minor. No, wait, sorry. G to D, then to E minor, and then to C major. So 1, 5, 6, 4. So those are all diatonic chords to the key of G, right? The 1, 5, and the 6, and the 4. So in the first chord's G major. So the typical like school of thought is, all right, I'll just play G major pentatonic or G major Ionian over the whole thing, and that's gonna be fine. And that would sound okay, you know, but I want to show you another way to do it, because that sort of idea is what I hear people say, I'm trapped in the box, I'm trapped in the box, you know, and there's a way out of the box, and I'll show you in a second. But here, let me jam on that same progression. I'll just use G pentatonic, all right? And see how it sounds. I won't stray from that at all. All right, that sounds okay, but there's not as much dynamics, you know, or not dynamics, but melodic kind of structure to it, right? I'm just playing the same stuff, and it's almost as if you're flying, right? And you're a bird, and you're just doing this, and the ground here is like hills, and there's a valley in this, and you're just going right over the top. Like, you're not sort of like reacting at all to what's underneath. And that's cool, but if I jam that without the backing track, all right, if I'm just jamming pentatonics, G pentatonic. I can do whatever I want. You're not going to be able to imagine the chords underneath. Like, that's just me noodling around on G major pentatonic, right? But if now I'm going to do the same thing without the chords, but I'm going to jam for each one. I'm going to pick a different pentatonic, and that's what I was doing at the beginning. So for G, I'm going to play G major pentatonic. Obviously, right? That's what I was doing. For D, I'm going to play D major pentatonic. For E minor, I'm going to play E minor pentatonic. And for C, you guessed it, I'm going to play C major pentatonic. And then back to G. All right, so this time I'll do that. See if you can like hear the chords in what I'm playing. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna start over. I kind of got lost. D. E, C, So hopefully, if I didn't screw up too much, you should be able to hear the chords going underneath, like I'm hitting these notes that are outside of the G major pentatonic because I'm switching shapes. And that is kind of implying that, you know, oh, you switched to the D. Now you hear when I go to the E minor, and then you hear when I go to the C and back to the G. So now I'll show it with the backing track, all right? Here's G, E minor, and then C. So G major, D major pentatonic. Yeah, so hopefully you can hear that. So rather than trying to break out of the box, right, I like to think of it as you're moving the box. Just move the box. You can go wherever you want to go, right? If you were trapped in a box, like a cardboard box, cartoon style, upside down on top of you, and you were trapped in it, but you wanted to go somewhere, what would you do? You pick it up, you see these little feet, and you just, you'd walk and you move somewhere else, right? Same thing with the pentatonic shape. So like say, here's the G, it's the second shape of the pentatonic. The next chord is D. Move that shape up to the D, second shape. Now E minor, you know that's the first shape here, right? Which makes the second shape on the G. So the G major and the E minor share the same shape, or the same notes. And then when you go to the C, you take that second shape and you move it to C. Now, you know, rather than jumping all around the neck, like second shape here, second shape here, second shape here again, and then second shape here, you just kind of figure out after a while, like, all right, I'm G, the second shape there. Now for D, I would go up here, but that's the second shape, first shape, fifth shape, fourth shape. You know what I mean? Do you follow? So you have the second shape here for G, and then the fourth shape here for D. And then back to the second shape for E. And then for C, you have the second shape here, right? Second shape, first shape, fifth shape. So you'd play the fifth shape here, right? So second shape for G, fourth shape for D, back to the second shape for E, and back to the fifth shape, or now to the fifth shape for C. And then back to the second shape for G. So don't let this seems simple, or maybe it's complicated, but it's easy to understand once you just think, whatever the chord is, use that pentatonic scale. And don't be fooled by the simplicity of this. This might be the most important thing you ever figure or hear on the guitar, all right? Like, the concept is simple. Putting it into practice takes some time to be able to be like, all right, second shape, fourth shape, fifth shape in that spot, and then move somewhere else and know this spot. So that takes some time, but it's such an easy method for seeing the entire neck. So does that make sense? I've been working on this for a long time, like just trying to get familiar with it, not understanding it, but like trying to be able to see the neck, like E minor, you know, B flat major. And it works over any progression. Like, that's diatonic, but if you have weird progressions like D flat major to D, That's not diatonic to anything, but you just follow it with the pentatonics and it sounds great. You know, it sounds crazy because that's a crazy chord progression. But if you were jamming on that and like some sort of fusion weird thing, all you need is the pentatonics. People are, what are you playing there? Is that like melodic, harmonic, neutral 7? No, it's not. It's pentatonics. But they do add up to something. Like those ones that we were playing for G major, so second shape, fourth shape, and the fifth shape. If you superimpose them all over each other, you get G Ionian. But you're only playing 5 notes out of it at a time for each chord, right? That goes by. But if you add them all up, you're using it all. It's like they say with your brain, you only use 10% of your brain. Well, they mean at a time. Like you use it all eventually through the course of a day, but you use 10% to think about this problem, 10% to think about this, 10% to like regulate your sleep, 10% to like keep up with hunger. That's the same thing here. Like you use the whole scale, you just use it at different times. Does that make sense? I'm talking about flying and brain chemistry and whatever. I use whatever I can to try to get the point across when I teach, and I hope that's not a problem. So, all right, man. If you found this useful, you know, drop a comment down below. This is something also, I should say, I guess the sponsor of this video, me, I have a course they call How to Solo Over Everything. It's on my site, The Pentatonic Way, and we go into this sort of stuff. You know, we talk about exactly this. I show you from the start, and we work through several like chord progressions every lesson to try to get more and more complex. So it makes it easier on you to kind of get into this, start seeing the neck, and hopefully by the end of it, you can just do it on your own and stuff. There's a couple ways to do it. You could do the solo version where you just kind of go through it on your own. You get all the stuff. Or every once in a while, like a couple times a year, I run a course where I allow, you know, we go together as a group. We start on week 1. We record some jams. We get together every week for a couple hours online and as a group and like go through everybody's jam and say, oh, this was awesome. That's cool. Maybe try this. And that's really a good time. I really see people's view of the guitar and like their lives change. I don't know if it's that drastic, but there's definitely a lot of aha moments. So if you're into that, that's on pentatonicway.com. And if you watch to the end of this video, I want to say thank you. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Let me know in the comments if this was helpful. All right? Keep on picking, man.